we're back for an on-camera discussion video, pretty much like a review of one of the few, not few, but I have my fair share of favorite movies that I enjoyed over the years. But my first movie review that I will be doing, and I'll be doing like a lot for people who like you who would make a request on the Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/talkativecarl. If you subscribe to like the low tier to suggest a particular movie that you want me to check out and do a review on, I will be glad to do that for you and make it a priority over everything else. And then of course Patreon members get early access, and then within like up to like a week or so later, I will eventually post it on YouTube. But the first movie that I will be reviewing is the 2000s Charlie's Angels movie, like the right at the tail end of 1999 into the 2000s. This is definitely like a kind of like a dated, not dated, but it's like if you see certain things like cell phones at the time and certain technology that's being used, it's definitely like you can tell it's like 2000 stuff. You got like talking about like the computers being used at the time is very old fashioned, and like this is around the time when like you got like this, I think it's even before like razor phones were a thing. There's still like bulky flip phones, and you got sidekicks being like I don't know about sidekicks being invented yet, but it's about that old, even before like razor and sidekicks were like a huge deal at the time. But I do love this movie. It has some like, the charm in this movie is like phenomenal. Between like, yeah, this is not the first time I've seen her, but this is the second time I've seen Cameron Diaz. The first time was in Jim Carrey's The Mask, as she played the leading lady. I don't think that's her first acting debut. I don't think so, but I think that's the first major gig she got, and I think it leads her into this, and of course its sequel. I think this is like the best Charlie's Angels, unlike the quote unquote reboot or whatever you want to call it that came out in I think 2018. I didn't even see that. I knew that was gonna suck, but not because it's like, well, it was just like, it was like bad writing. It's kind of like the female Ghostbusters. Like, it wasn't the females that were the problem, it was like the crappy writing. It's like, it's kind of one of those moments where like studios at doing this didn't have any faith behind this kind of project, maybe because what going on with this movie in the 2000s was kind of like a lightning in a bottle, because the OG Charlie's Angels was way back in the 70s. So this is like 30 years later, you got this, and it's like, I don't know, it's just like the right combinations of like great chemistry between Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz, and Drew Barrymore. And like the writing behind this was, I personally, I think it was a very smart writing. It worked well of the time, but I gotta say, this is like the movie that got me a huge crush on Drew Barrymore. To this day, I love Drew Barrymore. I cannot tell you, that woman can like literally have anything she wants. I don't even care. She is so cute, and just like, I just love her. She was the charmingest. I mean, they all were charming, but I think like like she it was like the tippy top for me at least. And it's just like her red hair is just like like, it's probably my first redhead crush. And it's like the costumes she was wearing, and like the just like her cute badassness. And to this day I still quote this when I was like, was it the Chad? No, the Chad was great. It was like, oh my god, this movie was amazing. If you haven't seen like 2000s Charlie's Angels, You can check it on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure there's other places too, but it's like a classic movie. Definitely of its time. There's certain jokes that probably got to brace yourself for a few of these jokes, because it's like, it's not like crazy like disrespectful, or even for back then it wasn't crazy disrespectful, but it's just like, it was just like a fun romp, and it's, like I said, it wasn't like so bad it's good kind of movie. It's actually like a solid movie that definitely had warranted like a sequel, and the sequel is great too. If you leave a comment below, or at least follow me, definitely if you follow me on Patreon, if you can suggest there, if you want me to do a review of the sequel, go to my Patreon. And if you're like a huge fan of I like to call it the OG, this is my OG Charlie's Angels, please go on Patreon, put a request in if you are very interested in me going over that movie. But yeah, this is like definitely a star-studded cast. And back in the day, I didn't even realize, or at least who half of these people were. Like, I knew Lucy Liu indefinitely, because Lucy Liu had been like at least a few things that at that time, that around the 2000s, because she was like a major player, and so was Drew Barrymore. But I didn't know Cameron Diaz's name before this movie. But Sam Rockwell was in this. Bill Murray, I knew Bill Murray, obviously. Bill Murray and Lucy Liu was the top two people that I knew at the time in this movie. So that's why I liked it so much. Like, at least I knew them. But then I didn't know Sam Rockwell at all back then. Because it's like, I know it's like, because people talk about his dance moves in Iron Man 2. And in this movie, he has a dancing number too, and nobody talks about it. And I think like you definitely need to revisit this movie to see Sam Rockwell's dance move. This dude can dance. Him and Cameron Diaz. No matter of fact, him and all three of these women can dance their ass off, because Cameron Diaz dances a lot in these movies, and she can move. I mean, of course, in The Mask, you can see her do like ballroom kind of dancing, but she can bust a move. Even though back in the day, when it's like a little moment in the movie where she's like on like dreaming she's in the Soul Train TV show. Soul Train is like a TV show that's like people can just. It was like a club scene, but being filmed in a way, and everybody's just like having a good time. But she's like, constantly daydreaming to being like like a center of attention, dancing her butt off, and what have you. She's in the scene, she's in a bedroom dancing in her little Spider-Man little panties. And I was like, and just busting move. And then she's one of the goofy people. She's the goofy one in the group. And like, not an airhead, but it's just like, this is the goofy, silly one. Just perfect, perky and bubbly. And then when she opened the door in her underwear to receive a package from like a FedEx, not FedEx, but like a UPS guy. And like, she made this comment like, next time you want to jump up a package, you just slip it right in. And dude just didn't know what to say. It's like, okay, this is like, he's dumbfounded that this beautiful woman coming in, answer the door with her shirt and underwear on, and it's just like, I don't even know what to do in this situation. It's like, he didn't know what to do in this situation. It's just like, am I being punked? Like, what? And it's like, and then she just tried to walk back in, and she bumped her head against the door frame and stuff, like, just being goofy. She's fun in this. Like, I love her. And I like a moment, I just want to say this right now. There's a moment in the sequel when all three of them dance to the MC Hammer dance. In case I don't get a chance to like do, if you guys don't want me to do a review of the sequel to this, I want to mention this now. There's a scene where all three dance to the MC Hammer dance to Hammer Time. If you look it up on YouTube, type in, after you finish watching this video, go to YouTube, type in Charlie's Angels MC Hammer Dance, and it's like just like a minute and a half scene where they just on beat dance to the moves to the MC Hammer Dance. It's like one of those moments in movies that's like the little respite amongst all the action and everything. It's like just a moment for friends, just kind of like the in Age of Ultron, where like the Avengers just partying, have a good time, and then having to lift the hammer and just kicking it and just getting to know each other kind of moments. And it's like this is one of those moments for me that I always enjoy. That like you just like this downtime and just seeing, and of course the actresses obviously was having fun with this, and just to see them just dancing, and it's like I know like people on set was just bonkers. Like I love that scene. It always gets me, and it's everything. I wish they can like drag that on. Maybe I bumped against my mic. I wish they could have dragged that on at least a minute longer just to see them just really doing it. But I don't know. They was probably pressed for time. But man, I love that scene. But anyway, the part one movie. A little side note, because when I was watching this on Amazon, there was like a little trivia thing they usually have up. I did not notice until like I was going through this movie that Lucy Liu and Bill Murray like had like a thing between each other, not like a like a sexual thing, but like very like ire, like just they just they got through the shooting of this movie, but man, there was some animosity between these two, because Bill Murray says something to her. Don't go canceling Bill Murray over this. This is something that happened way back in 2000. It's not something that need to be dragged up again. It's long and over with. But Bill Murray, pretty much like just question Lucy Liu's acting in a particular scene, and pretty much like talking about how she's probably not that good at it, or something like this, but it's vaguely to that sort of thing where she took grievance with him, questioned her acting skills and the scene that she was shooting, and like the lines she's reading, because the lines I guess she was reading wasn't good to him the way he's perceiving it. Like it wasn't authentic. It's just pretty much like questioning her skills as an actress. And of course, for the most part, they just had to, it was so bad, they just had to like, not as bad as like The Rock and Vin Diesel where they can't even be in the same scene together, but it's just bad enough where they had to like just power through a lot of scenes that they had to be together in until filming was done. I'm not sure if they end up patching things up since then. It's 20 years later. I figured they would have done so at some point, but if not, I guess it was that bad where he's just, but whatever. But that was like a little tidbit I did not know, like what was going on behind the scenes. You never know what's behind the scenes on any given TV show or movie, especially if it's like old. But yeah, pretty much the plot of the movie is this Sam Rockwell's character Eric Nice was kidnapped by some rival company because he invented this software, this voice recognition system that he invented that pretty much like be able to detect anybody presence anywhere around the globe just by their voice recognition kind of situation. And then of course he was with the assistant at the time, who was like jumped as well in like a parking garage, and then of course like it was like a little moment where like because Cameron Diaz plays Natalie Cook, Drew Barrymore is Dylan Sanders, and Lucy Liu is Alex Munday. Honestly did not know about their last names. I just knew there's like Natalie, Dylan, and Alex. But anyway, Natalie, Cameron Diaz's character, I was like, oh, she did it. And it was like, and this is spoiler review by the way, but of course she was technically right, but at the time you did not know that, because she just walked right in and it's like, oh, I guess we can call it case closed then. And it's like, shut her up really quick. Of course she was part of it, but not the way you think. they, of course, Tim Curry was, she points the blame towards Tim Curry's character, Roger Corman, who being like the kidnapper, who was like a rival company, Red Star. They infiltrate his party, and well, according to the like that, because Crispin Glover, this is like Marty McFly's dad. Because I didn't know Crispin Glover's name was. I just knew that was Marty McFly's dad. I didn't know his name for real, but I just said Marty McFly's dad. He was in this movie as the Thin Man. This like, you know, very thin guy who's like barely talks. He comes back in the sequel, and you get to know him a little bit more. But he's kind of like just like a henchman, or at least like one of those. It's kind of like, you know, in Austin Powers, Fat Bastard. This is one of those guys that's like very good at his job in a very threatening kind of situation, or like he's like Odd Job in a James Bond film back in the day. But they saw him in the security video. They seen him in like this party, follow him. He's able to, like, you know, not only fight them off a little bit, but still able to escape. But they found Knox, and then, of course, Knox tells them about how Tim Curry's character's company, what was it? They try to, you know, determine if it was Tim Curry's character Roger Kerwin, who stole the software. So they infiltrate his business. And man, I love the scene where like you got Lucy Liu. I mean, because you got Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore dressed as like dudes, you know, fake beards and everything like that, and Lucy Liu as like their superior. And Lucy Liu's dressed up in this very like dominatrix slash school teacher kind of outfit, just straight up like BDSM kind of stuff. And it's like she got this little, like, you know, like those riding whips you use for horses kind of situation. She carries that around, and she just like whips it around just randomly, just startling like a, because they, you know, oh, before we get to that, Melissa McCarthy is in this. Like, we look back on movies back in the early 2000s, you see certain things that, you know, actors and actresses, who's a big deal now, but you didn't know who they were, or at least were a thing back then. Melissa McCarthy had like a short little thing in this movie as one, like this is the female manager of this company, you know, running like a certain floor of this company. And like in this floor, there's like a bunch of like stereotypical computer nerds there. And of course, you know, back then, like nerds, like, you know, goofy looking, you know, socially awkward, can't talk to girls kind of crap. That was the thing back in the day. And like they all follow, you know, Lucy Liu's well, because they undercover, they follow her into this auditorium, and they play up this little acting thing just to distract everybody, as like this some head honcho coming to oversee what's going on in this place. And it's like, you know, and she's, you know, whipping around this web and hit Drew Barrymore's character, and she's like, ow. And it's like, holy. And it's like, me as a little kid, it's like, I kind of it's just like, I already told you guys how much I like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman character in the Tim Burton stuff. It was my first crush, so I think I got like a thing with these like kind of like dom type of chicks. I don't know, man, because like I like powerful women, and it's like women in power. It's like unlike some other self-conscious dudes out there, I like powerful women that like, if she makes more than me, I don't give a crap. It's like, that was just like a huge turn on. It's like, just powerful women, just like take what you want kind of women, just do what you want kind of women. It's like, you know, just like those kind of women, like your part of your mother will warn you about, but you can't help but resist, when she gets their hooks into you. It's like, that's Lucy Liu's character all the way. When it's like, when as a kid, when I saw her in that, it's like kind of like that. It's like I don't know, kind of like that. It's like that's hot. It's like, I'm not going front, but she distracted everybody while Dylan and Natalie go into this room where it's kind of like this very Mission Impossible level of security, where it's like there's like 3 layers. The first layer, they got simultaneously open up these doors using like not only eye recognition but key cards to turn at the same time. Then second layer, they got be in this little white room where it's kind of like a clean room in a way. So Natalie has dressed up all in white just to be invisible, as she go to these second layer where you got these 2 mounts where normally people have to press down on simultaneously to get to the third final stage, but she's so flexible and lean where she can press a foot onto one panel and her arm on the other just to open up the door. So she's in this final stage where these little pressure plates where you can't stand on them unless you actually are authorized to be in there to disable those. You cannot stand on these plates for more than like 3 seconds, I think, like maybe 5 seconds or something like that. So she has to cartwheel and flip off these plates in the nick of time before the plate she's on currently goes off and lands on the next plate for the same thing to happen, so she can go into this middle panel where she can access the server of this company so they can spy on Corwin's information to see if he actually has Knox's software inside. Of course, then later on, while they're waiting for the results, Dylan infiltrates the not infiltrates, she goes to Knox's place just to make sure he's secure while they wait so that he won't be attacked again. Of course, they end up sleeping together, and then it was revealed that, spoiler alert once again, Knox faked his own kidnapping, and Vivian, his assistant, the lady I was telling you about, is working with him because Knox believed Charlie, the Angel's boss, who was in Vietnam with his father, who was killed in Vietnam, and Knox blames Charlie for the death. Of course, nobody knows where Charlie is, but with his voice recognition software, can be able to pinpoint wherever Charlie is. He can find him and go and kill him because he blames the death of his father on him. Of course, it was like a systematic attack. Knox kills Dylan, shoots her out the window, who she miraculously managed to survive because she managed to. It's kind of like bullet time in a way. She, it's kind of like at first you think she was shot and killed and knocked out the window, but after a second viewing, when they rewind, kind of like Tenet style rewind kind of situation, you'll see like it played back and it's like she managed to just like pretend to get shot because the bullet going so fast you think she got shot, but she managed to time it just right and just fall back as the bullet, as it dodges her, hits the window and she falls back and pretends to get shot out the window. Don't know why they never looked out the window to see if her body's on the ground, but it is what it is. But it was like a complete systematic attack against the Angels because like Natalie with a guy she met at they had a club. She's in the bathroom getting like attacked, very Casino Royale style, getting attacked in the bathroom, and she finds out that Vivian sent him to kill her. And then of course Matt LeBlanc, Joey from Friends, is in this too as like a minor character, supposed to be like the boyfriend of Alex. He's an actor, ironically, and they've been in like this a long relationship, but she wants to come clean about. That's her arc throughout this movie. She's trying to figure out how to let him know what she actually does for a living. She's always been very vague, and she really serious about this guy, but she doesn't want to keep lying to him. It's kind of like Peter Parker kind of syndrome, where it's like you want to tell these people who you are, that you love and trust, but you're afraid of the consequences if something happens to them and all that other stuff. But before he came by, she was cooking dinner. There's always like a running joke that Alex can't cook worth a damn, despite how good of everything else he's in. A bunch of dudes rolling up in Jeeps shot her a little trailer, and like she was like so smooth with it. It's like, this is Lucy Liu we're talking about here, and like she's so smooth with it. She knows something wrong, and she like straight up like Jackie Chan or something like this, like this smooth little motion where she just climbs up top of the stove and like holds herself up onto the roof of her, just prop herself up on the roof of her trailer, and as people just shooting up the whole place, she managed to like just like dodge completely all the bullets flying and just shredded the trailer, and she narrowly avoids being shot up. But as she's cooking, as she's trying to make this souffle, this is a little funny moment. It's like, of course, souffle, you gotta like avoid it, deflating. I guess there's always like a joke and stuff like this where it's like any slight noise can deflate the souffle before it's ready to be served, and it's always like a running gag kind of situation, various things. But she looked at the thing going deflating. She's like, damn. And it was just, it's small, but it's funny. It's like one of those funny moments. It just works. And of course, Matt LeBlanc's character comes up here. It's like, what the heck happened? It's like, I'll tell you why I want to come back. I just gotta go help my friends. I think my friends are in trouble. I gotta go help them. So they all reconvene at their place of business, thinking. And then the building blows up as they're walking towards it, and they think Bosley is inside, but Bosley was kidnapped by Vivian, who was trying to like do the honeypot on him, cozy up on him, but she ended up like kidnapping him because he's the only one that actually has direct access to Charlie. So he's the only one he actually will speak to directly for at least a extended period of time. So they gotta wait for a particular time for Charlie to call, so that's why they keeping him held up. So they end up tracking him down to the lighthouse, and of course Dylan gets this awesome scene where she like I'll never forget it, man, where she's like tied up in a chair and like Knox's henchman is about to like jump on her. And she holds her feet up, and it's like, hold on, like like first I'm gonna tell you how you all gonna go down. I'm gonna punch you in the face. I'm gonna elbow you in the nose and break your nose, and like do all this other stuff, and finally I'm gonna moonwalk out of here. And of course she does all that was like a very funny thing, and like she's saying all this, and she's trying to use her lighter to like burn through the roast, but it's like it's running out of fuel. It ran out of fuel. So he's like, and since my trusty lighter is not working, I'm going to do all this with my hands tied up behind my back. And it's like, I like the just come clean. And it's like, I've been stalling trying to get untied, but it's like it's not working, so I'm just going to have to do this hard way. And like, of course, it's the funny thing is she doesn't moonwalk because obviously she's wearing boots. She can't really, I don't know if she can actually moonwalk, but she's wearing boots, but she just steps backward in like a goofy fashion. It's just funny. It's just like Drew Barrymore. I love Drew Barrymore. She is so good in things she's in, and she's so funny, and just like the charm of her is just amazing. I love Drew Barrymore. It's just like she is like amazing person. But then they took down Vivian. Thin Man is there, but he ended up getting away. They managed to because Knox took a helicopter to, after they found where Charlie is in some kind of cabin on an island somewhere, and they they got on the helicopter he's in, and of course he was about to fire a missile towards Charlie's place to kill him, but they hotwire the missile to, like, as soon as it fires off, it boomerangs back to its point of origin. I'm not even sure you can actually do that to missiles. Maybe you can do that back in the early 2000s, but this day and age, I don't think that's how missiles work. But anyway, it boomerangs back, killing Sam Rockwell, his Knox character. And then as soon as they wash up on the shore and go to the cabin expecting to see Charlie, you never actually see him. Spoiler alert. And he's on the intercom calling them something like, "I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you, Angels." And they're chilling out on the beach in like a vacation mode. Charlie explains, like, yeah, Knox's father was undercover. He was found out. He was killed, and the government, I guess, never gave that detail to him. So Knox was left to believe that Charlie had something to do with it, which is kind of messed up. Why would you not? I mean, of course, maybe it's classified because he was undercover, but it's like you leave a kid believing that, I mean, of course, maybe he drew his own conclusions, but I don't know. At a certain point, you gotta release some kind of information about that kind of stuff. But a lot of stuff was probably classified during the Vietnam War because, the U.S. troops was not like at all for their role in Vietnam, even though most of them did not want to be there, and the government is mainly the reason why troops were deployed to try to, in a way, take over Vietnam, but lost. So they had no support or backing anymore, so they had to pull out. But the atrocity that they did there was they obviously did not forget. So yeah, but they all chill on the beach. Dylan thinks she sees Charlie in distance but doesn't say nothing, and so they all just enjoy their little vacation. So it's a great movie. I highly recommend you checking out Charlie's Angels, the 2000s version. And leave a comment below if you remember this movie. I love the soundtrack. This is around the time when like Destiny's Child was a huge thing, and like you hear like the beats of or at least towards the end of the credits as well, of the song Independent by Destiny's Child. Great song. I think I enjoy Beyonce's music, especially Destiny's Child, more so than any of their current stuff right now, to be perfectly honest. I think she definitely hit her peak in like late 90s, early 2000s when it comes to Beyonce. But Independent is like a banger, man. Till this day, it holds up massively, and it's a perfect song for women to get behind. It's just like I was, after like rewatching this movie, I just reminded how great that song was, and I'm sitting there playing it for at least a couple of days after I finished watching this movie. It's great. It's fantastic. But anyway, yeah, that was Charlie's Angels 2000, and that's my spoiler review. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Patreon, www.patreon.com/talkativecarl. If you want me to review a certain movie that you like, that you want me to talk about, I will make it a priority. Check it out and make a review of that and post it on the Patreon for Patreon members. And yeah, I will see y'all soon. Next month, I'll do another movie review. I'll keep that tight-lipped until a certain point, and I will post that next month. Yeah, I usually do probably movie reviews once a month, if probably a little bit more if I don't have much video game walkthroughs to go through. But I'm probably gonna be a little bit busy through the year with some new games. So yeah, I'm gonna probably maintain a movie once a month, depending on how many of you guys want me to check out a particular film. So take care, and I'll see you all soon.